yes, I believe the 4-year cycle is still intact. I'm actually on record saying this week, the 15th, is the equinox, where we go from spring to summer. And I think Bitcoin will eventually become the base layer of money. It will displace gold because it's more portable and more divisible. Gold is fine. I mean, gold is great, right? But if I had a bar here, right, and I wanted to break it in half, I couldn't do it, right? I'm not that strong. I couldn't break it in half. And even if I could break it in half and I wanted to send you half of it, I couldn't stuff it into my computer and make it go. In fact, all the gold in the world fits in 2 Olympic-sized swimming pools. All the Bitcoin in the world fits right here.
In this video, founder and CEO of crypto hedge fund Morgan Creek Digital Mark-Yusko discuss about arrival of crypto summer and current performance of Bitcoin. He mentioned that the equinox, which transitions from spring to summer, usually occurs around 10 months before the next Bitcoin halving in April 2024. Yusko further emphasizes that although there may be fluctuations, the overall price remains relatively stable, resulting in a flat performance over the past year. As the price rises, speculators are drawn into the market, further driving the movement. According to Yusko, Bitcoin is now in a position to ignite a big breakout as it prints a technical reversal pattern. But the really interesting factoid is Bitcoin's been dead flat over the last 12 months. That's pretty interesting, and it's because it fell from $60,000 down to $27,000 or whatever, and then it was kind of flattish. And then it went down to $15,000 during the FTX debacle. Yusko believes that the price of Bitcoin is undervalued today. He said that based on a Metcalfe's law model, the fair value of Bitcoin is in the high 20s or low 30s. He believes that as the price starts to rise, this will attract more investors and speculators, which will cause the price to move more quickly. However, Yusko acknowledged that in the previous year, Bitcoin displayed a high level of correlation with other assets. Mark Yusko expressed his belief that Bitcoin demonstrates a lack of correlation with traditional assets, making it an attractive diversification option. He stated that short-term correlations are insignificant during crises, as all assets tend to move in unison. Before we proceed further, please ensure that you subscribe to our channel and click the bell icon to stay updated.
Bitcoin is it's perfectly uncorrelated to all the other assets. It's 0.0 correlated to bonds and 0.15 correlated to stocks. People say, oh, but Mark, last year it was highly correlated. Short-term correlations don't mean anything. In crises, particularly liquidation crises, all correlations go to 1 in all assets: stocks, bonds, currencies, hedge funds, commodities. It doesn't really matter. What matters is what's the long-term volatility. And the long-term volatility of Bitcoin is low relative to financial assets because financial assets derive their value from the same thing: GDP growth, inflation, interest rates, corporate profits. None of those things have anything to do with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is driven by millennial adoption. Summer and spring are kind of different, right? People hear all these terms and, crypto winter is easy. Things go down and they go down a lot. And crypto fall is the time when things go parabolic. Now, that's not what normally people talk about. They think that's crypto summer. No, crypto summer is the period leading up to the fall, which is in advance of the winter. And it's actually pretty volatile, but upward tilt a little bit, but not a lot of movement. Spring, really volatile and like a roller coaster. You end up in the same place, right? You go up and down and up and down and up and down, you end up in the same place. And we're basically flat over the last year, almost exactly from last Father's Day to today. And people think, no, that's not right. Like, well, it is, but people don't think in long terms. And so that was, I will argue that crypto winter ended June 15th last year. Crypto spring will end, June 15th this week. And then we'll be in crypto summer, probably through June of next year. And then, you go into fall, and crypto fall is where the parabolic move happens. Why does the parabolic move happen? Well, again, this is the genius of the halving. The halving creates price movement because the price has to adjust to reward the miners, and price movement attracts interest. And see, here's the thing. When the price of anything gets below its fair value, like I can make an argument based on a Metcalfe's law model that the fair value of Bitcoin today is in the high 20s, low 30s. So we're marginally undervalued. when an asset is undervalued, investors buy it, right? That's what investors do. They buy assets that are under their fair value or intrinsic value. And then as the price starts to rise, that movement, okay, attracts speculators. And speculators aren't evil people, right? Many of them are just the opposite side of a hedger, right? The miners have to sell, and sometimes in the futures market, their future production. So a speculator, someone takes the other side of that transaction. But they don't have any real view on the asset. They just see movement and they want to buy it. But then what happens is when we get into the late stages of summer into fall, the price starts to move more quickly.
Yusko acknowledged that Bitcoin's market cap has risen from virtually zero 14 years ago to over $400 billion. However, he believes that the probability of repeating such extraordinary performance mathematically is quite low. Yusko further mentioned that he can make a compelling argument based on a model like Metcalfe's law that Bitcoin could increase fivefold in value before the upcoming halving event. He determines a fair value for the Bitcoin network and suggests that a price of $100,000 per unit would be reasonable at the next halving. Yusko expressed his belief that Bitcoin serves as digital gold. Yusko highlighted that while currencies come and go, gold has maintained its value for thousands of years, while numerous paper currencies have become obsolete or lost their value over time. Yusko's perspective is that Bitcoin should aim to replace gold as the base layer of money in the central banking system. He believes that the fiat systems should be built on top of Bitcoin, even though they may have their flaws and corruption.
Look, the law of small numbers is real, right? It's a lot easier to go from a $10 million market cap to a $100 million market cap than it is to go from a $100 million market cap to $1 billion market cap and make 10x. So, we've gone from basically zero 14 years ago to 400 some odd billion dollar market cap. And the likelihood of that type of performance repeating, mathematically not very high. Now, I can make a very cogent argument why between now and the halving that's coming up next year, that we could go up 5 times to what I think of as fair value of the network and determine that through a Metcalfe's law kind of model. And that $100,000 per unit would be a fair value for Bitcoin at the next halving. And part of that has to do with the genius of the halving event itself, right? If you reduce the number of block rewards that are incenting miners to secure the network, the price has to rise. People say, no, it doesn't. Well, no, it does, because the costs of those miners are relatively fixed and a whole bunch of them will go out of business. But we need the network to be secure, and we need hash rate to rise, which it has made new highs every single year. And so again, long answer to a really important question, which is, I think ultimately, Bitcoin is digital gold, right? And gold is the only money that exists today, right? And what is money? Money is an asset that exists in the absence of a liability. Everything else that we think of as money is really just an accounting entry and is debt backed, right? It's currency. Gold underlies it all. Gold sits on the central bank vaults of all the central banks around the world, and they build the money layer on top of it by issuing debt. And we have bank IOUs. We quote unquote put our money in the bank, but then it's no longer our money. It's the bank's money. And we have an IOU, and that's perfectly fine most of the time. But if you think about the true money, the thing that has stored value for thousands of years has been gold, and currencies come and go. Right? 775 paper currencies in the history of the world. 3/4 of them no longer exist, went to zero. The others are down 99 to 99.999% and will eventually go to zero. Actually say, no, take your Bitcoin off the exchanges and put it in a hard drive and bury it in the backyard. Like, guys, if that's what you think Bitcoin is, we should all go back to work because we have that. That's called gold. And gold is actually superior because it won't get broken in the backyard if you bury it, because it's an inert metal and it doesn't need power. So what we need is for Bitcoin to replace gold as the base layer of money in the central banking system, and we build the fiat systems on top of that. And yes, they'll be corrupt and they'll be bad, but as long as nation states exist, at least for now they will, that's the system we're going to live in. And so you can opt out for some of your wealth and store it on a hard drive, and that's fine. But for the most of it, we're going to live and work and exchange in the fiat realm until such time as the good money crowds out bad. But that's going to be decades.
With the fair value estimated at around $100,000 per unit, Bitcoin's trajectory seems poised for further growth. Bitcoin's role as digital gold and its potential to replace traditional fiat currencies as the foundational layer of the monetary system indicates a long-term vision for its growth. As we explore the potential of Bitcoin and its role in the future of finance, what are your thoughts on its ability to serve as a foundational layer of the monetary system? Do you believe that Bitcoin has the potential to surpass gold and become the primary form of money? Share your insights and perspectives on the future of Bitcoin and its impact on the financial land in the comments section below. If you find this video informative, don't forget to show your support towards our channel by liking this video, subscribing to our channel, and enabling notifications to stay informed about our latest videos covering more interesting topics. Thank you for watching.